Today's movie's a special request from Patreon supporter Richard Freeman, who asked me to review the movie Q the Winged Serpent. Hey, if the movie's half as awesome as this Boris Vallejo poster for it, I'm in. Q the Winged Serpent, or just Q for short, is a 1982 monster movie directed by Larry Cohen, who's known for movies like It's Alive, God Told Me To, and The Stuff. Now, if you're not familiar with Larry Cohen, I think the best way I can describe him is imagine 50s B-movies combined with 70s and 80s exploitation movies, and that should give you a pretty good idea of what his stuff's like. And this one in particular has a bit of an interesting production history. Larry Cohen was originally supposed to direct a big-budget studio film called I, the Jury, but was fired before production started. However, because he'd already paid for the hotel he was staying at, he just decided, well, I'm already here, guess I'll just make my own movie. And it's a good thing he did, because while this movie is fondly remembered by monster movie fans, I don't even know if the people who made I, the Jury remember that one. Oh, and not only is this Larry Cohen's favorite of his own movies, it's also one of his most successful, making several times what I, the Jury did. So, looks like he actually dodged a bullet by getting fired from that one. Nice that the movie assures us right away that it's both a film and being distributed. And check out that music. Yeah, it's like if the theme from Star Trek was creating Frankenstein. Speaking of music, the Queens of the Stone Age logo was a lot different before they added the sperm to it. So we open in downtown New York, and remind me never to apply for a job as a window washer.
Oh, hello again, you little creep. Here again today. How many times can you wash that same dumb window?
Hey, if he keeps making stains on there, he's gotta clean them up. Besides, he's not gonna be around much longer. See? I told you being a window washer was dangerous. No need to worry though, detectives John Shaft and Kwai Chang Caine are on the case. And now that I say that out loud, how in the hell was that never a TV show? This is a pretty weird case, but let's hear their theories on what happened.
Ah, shit. Maybe his head just got loose and fell off.
And that's why they're the best. Our other plot thread concerns a small-time crook named Jimmy Quinn, played by Michael Moriarty, who's applying to be a getaway driver for a diamond heist.
And I don't carry a piece. And my cut is 20%.
No. Your cut is 12.5%. And you haven't worked in 8 months.
Hey, that's not true. Michael Moriarty made 3 movies in 1982. Not only are people's heads being ripped off, there's also somebody turning people into beef jerky.
Better step outside, son. You don't want to see this.
Yeah, it's a little late for that. I don't know what's behind all these grisly murders, but something tells me Pennywise is involved somehow. And is it just me, or does it seem like guys really like spying on women in the 80s? So far, it looks like this movie's doing the classic trick of hiding the monster's appearance for most of its runtime so they can dramatically reveal it at the end. Oh, okay, never mind, there it is. Hey, fine by me, at least this movie cuts to the chase. I mean, the poster already lets you know it's a monster movie, so fuck it, just get to the monster. I'm just glad it wasn't revealed to be Blood Freak's cousin here. People are always worried about birds pooping on their cars, but they never think about when birds are menstruating. In addition to being a getaway driver, apparently Jimmy's also auditioning to be a piano player. You know, cocaine scat is probably my least favorite 80s music trend. It is one of my favorite porn genres, though.
Leave my baby alone.
Okay, when even the dog is heckling you, I think that means you failed the audition. Besides, Jimmy's got a robbery to get to. And I'm just guessing here, but I think they're planning on stealing gold. I'm not really sure how the heist goes. Jimmy just kinda casually walks out without any of the guys he came with, then gets sideswiped by a cab and loses the bag with the diamonds he just stole. Man, the original opening to Reservoir Dogs was a lot different. Kinda wish they would've kept the monster plotline, though. Knowing he's in deep trouble for losing the diamonds, Jimmy does what any logical person would. He goes to the top of the Chrysler Building. I gotta say, it's nice to see the Chrysler Building finally getting some exposure in a monster movie. Normally they always go for the Empire State Building. Hell, even Gozer decided to come back at whatever building this is. Jimmy makes his way to the roof. Unfortunately, it looks like the giant claw already beat him there. Meanwhile, the monster claims another victim, and I think the main reason it's able to kill so many people is no one really seems to give a shit. Was there some law against looking up in the 80s? And I know I already mentioned the Gozer building, but is that it right there? Thankfully, David Carradine's still on the case. Either that or he's looking at costumes for his next movie.
The Aztecs identify flayed skin with the new garments of young vegetation. After they're skinned, the high priest puts the skin upon himself, wearing it as it were like a garment.
Alright, so the killer's Leatherface.
The gods they prayed to. One god. Quetzalcoatl.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a title. Kind of. So does this curator have any theories about the murder?
What do you call it? Suicide, possibly.
Yeah, sure, this guy did this to himself. Still, I suppose it makes more sense than Carradine's theory about his skin just crawling away by itself. In fact, Carradine's full of weird ideas.
You don't think anything like that serpent ever really existed, do you?
Wouldn't be the first time in history that a monster was mistaken for a god.
Wait a second, it's not? So, are monsters just a common thing in this movie? I mean, he came to that conclusion pretty quick.
I better take my birth control pill.
And men take birth control pills? What kind of universe does this movie take place in? Meanwhile, Jimmy goes to see his girlfriend Joan, played by Candy Clark. Hopefully her relationship with Jimmy's more stable than the one with her previous boyfriend.
What happened? Did you get mugged?
Honey, it's 1982 New York. Of course I got mugged.
No, I mean, I went way up top of this building, 75, 80 stories up, and I'm up there, and I don't believe what I saw. I saw a body up there. There was somebody murdered up there. You know, I think it's a woman because there's a bracelet on, but it's all been torn away. I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
Are you back on something?
I knew you'd say that!
You know something? Michael Moriarty is surprisingly good in this. Not only is having a petty crook as the protagonist in a monster movie a welcome change from the usual assortment of scientists and military men, but Michael Moriarty actually manages to make Jimmy a memorable character. In fact, his performance is one of the only things critics at the time mentioned they liked about the movie. Critics could praise actors in 1982, but they still weren't allowed to like monster movies. And they had some harsh methods for removing chest hair back then. Not only that, but the monster effects really seem to have taken a nosedive.
I am the plumed serpent.
Cue the plumed serpent just doesn't sound as good. And oh no, somebody just murdered Edgar Winter! With all these bodies piling up, there's almost no time to get to the movie's other romantic subplot.
Yeah, we all love you, Shepard.
Ooh, I think David Carradine wants some Shaft. Look, I understand there were no smartphones in 1982, but is not one person even taking a Polaroid of this thing? It's attacking people in broad daylight, and no one seems to be able to confirm if this thing is real. And no one seems to be able to spell, either. Despite no one being able to get any proof of this thing, David Carradine is really married to the whole ancient Aztec god monster theory.
I want to thank you for the information. I don't know what good it'll do me. I can't even pronounce this Quetzalcoatl, much less spell it.
Don't worry, David. We'll just call the movie Q for short. Meanwhile, Jimmy's associates come looking for the diamonds he lost. Turns out the Mafia doesn't appreciate when you casually walk out on them in the middle of a heist.
You're no crook, are you, Quinn?
But I lost it.
Oh, yeah? Well, we're gonna hurt you.
Getting in trouble with the mob is what prompted Jimmy to enter the Witness Protection Program and change his name to Harry Potter. Jimmy, however, tricks the mobsters by telling them he hid the diamonds at the top of the Chrysler building where the monster's nest is. Not the mama, motherfucker! You know, given Michael Moriarty's reputation as a method actor, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually killed two criminals and fed them to an ostrich to prepare for this movie.
41, 42, 43. I am having such a good time, I can't begin to tell you. 47.
Oh look, it's the world's most sarcastic personal trainer. Keep going. You got this. It's all you. No pain, no gain. And this is for not being more enthusiastic about your work, asshole. Oh, and Jimmy, if you're on the run from the law, entering a police station probably isn't the smartest idea. Alright, pop quiz, honky. Who's the black private dick who's about to put his foot halfway up your ass if you don't start talking? And isn't there a monster you guys should be looking for?
You guys can call this anything you want. Mass hysteria, anything you want. But 43 witnesses and they all concur.
Holy shit, you mean somebody actually saw it? This is a big breakthrough.
That son of a bitch is getting old.
Something I don't quite understand. You don't seem at all surprised by this.
You know he's right. Carradine's character sees a couple of weird, seemingly unconnected murders, and almost immediately he's just like, yep, it's an ancient Aztec god monster. It all checks out. I know he's technically right, but even Agent Mulder would say he came to that conclusion fast.
Oh, my God, with a wingspan like you're talking about here, that thing could fly miles into New York City every day.
Bullshit. If it flew that far, you'd get spotted.
Oh, I don't know, it took this long for people to see it. Speaking of which, why did nobody notice it until now?
I could think it'd be just smart enough to fly right in line with the sun, so when people look up at it, it's blinded for a minute.
Alright, sure. Carradine also says that the people who were skinned alive were really human sacrifices meant to bring the monster back to life, and at this point, even a kid in a Gamera movie would ask him how he knows so much. Jimmy also gets thrown in jail for stealing the diamonds. His girlfriend is not going to be happy about this.
If you know something, you have to tell them.
Why? Apparently Carradine already knows everything.
You gotta tell them.
All my life I've been a nobody. And right now I can be somebody important. You expect me to give that up?
I think I liked you better as a small-time crook.
You're not the petty criminal I fell in love with! So while the monster's busy giving us the most uncomfortable shot in the movie, Jimmy offers to reveal where the monster's nest is if they meet his demands. And it's a little late to still be storyboarding the movie, fellas.
Well, no doubt you've thought of terms. Would you care to let us in on them?
Money. $1 million in cash, tax-free.
Oh, come on, Jimmy, that's almost the entire budget of the movie. Be reasonable.
Man died yesterday. You've been sitting on this damn information. You could have prevented it. How the hell does that make you feel?
Like a hero, 'cause I'm preventing tomorrow's death and the day after that and the day after that. So kiss my ass.
And damn it, Michael Moriarty, quit giving a good performance. Seriously, movie, I'm supposed to be making fun of you. Quit making me care about your lead character.
So you heard me play, huh?
Sure.
You know who taught me how to do that? Big 7-foot spook in the box told me, that big nigger maniac who came to me.
Okay, now Jimmy's less likable. I gotta admit, this is one of the only monster movies that can have several long, dialogue-driven scenes that have nothing to do with the monster and still keep me interested. But still, you guys should probably start thinking of how you're gonna kill it.
What I do is I get a whole fleet of helicopters.
Yeah, that's a little too close to the 1976 King Kong. You should probably think of something else. In a weird twist, though, Carradine's superiors don't think the monster and the people getting skinned alive are connected.
Connection between the ritual killings.
There is no
And
connection.
the appearance
Two
of...
separate cases. Keep them that way.
Listen, Shepard, a giant flying monster is one thing, but a person sacrificing people to it? You must think I'm pretty gullible to buy that theory.
2 days ago, you didn't even believe this creature existed. Wouldn't it be possible for you to suspend your disbelief just one little degree further?
Are you talking to your boss or to the audience? They better hurry up and kill this thing. Judging by how Carradine's dressed, he's got 3 more exploitation movies to film that day. Alright, time to kill the baby. But first, we need a one-liner like, you can't kill a monster without breaking a few eggs.
Fry up about 500 pounds of bacon. We're gonna have us some breakfast.
Okay, that works too. Wait a second, but I'm the baby. Gotta love me. Ah. Because they only got the baby monster, the police decide to renege on Jimmy's deal, but they do give him something.
That's for the coffee you bought me.
Listen, Jimmy, Larry Cohen's pretty good at making the most out of a low budget, but even he couldn't spare $1 million for you.
And here, take this and stick it. Stick it up your brain.
Shit, Jimmy's so mad he can't even form insults. Meanwhile, the police try and track down the guy doing the sacrifices, and I kinda hope his next victim is undercover mime here.
Who the hell's gonna believe a ritual sacrificial murder in 1982?
Yeah, are you guys sure that's why people are being skinned alive? I mean, it seems more logical that it's another monster doing it. That's weird. I could have swore the Statue of Liberty was bigger and not on top of a building. Also, looks like this guy's about to make sweet, sweet love to that slab. Oh, never mind, I guess he's about to be sacrificed. Either way, that altar isn't the stiffest thing in there anymore. Fortunately, the police arrive just in time to save him.
Let us finish in peace! Get out!
Or not. And he's getting away, you idiots! One's a sex machine to all the chicks, the other pretends he's trapped inside an invisible box. It's Shaft and Mime Cop, coming this fall to ABC. Oh, well not anymore. The monster just killed Richard Roundtree. Forget Quetzalcoatl. If there's any god the people in this movie should be worshipping, it's Ray Harryhausen, since without his inspiration, I doubt this movie would even exist. So now we get to the climactic scene in the film where the police try to take down the monster when it comes back to the Chrysler building. Although I'm not sure who invited Gumby's uncle here. Okay, I joke, but seriously, it's always nice to see stop motion in a monster movie. The animation was done by David Allen, who's known mainly for his work with Charles Band, and while it's not exactly top-of-the-line stop motion, it's still pretty impressive considering the low budget. And let's be honest, even movies with great stop motion still aren't perfect. Hell, even RoboCop had Stretch Armstrong, Ronnie Cox.
Okay, everybody hold their positions. Everybody stay right where you are, all right? Don't move.
Yeah, nice try, Monster, but even Future Force wasn't enough to kill David Carradine's career. And if you're wondering just how they end up killing the monster, they shoot it. Yep, who needs to have a scientist figure out some convoluted way to kill this thing when some good old American lead'll do the trick? Hey, if it's good enough for King Kong, it's good enough for this movie. Well, looks like they took care of the monster, but wasn't there a guy going around sacrificing people? Oh yeah!
You are the betrayer, and now you must humble yourself.
I'm not really sure who this guy doing the sacrifices is. He sort of just comes out of nowhere. Which I suppose is for the best, considering he gets killed just as quickly. Well, kinda. Jesus, even Michael Myers would stay down at this point.
Thought he was gonna get up again, huh?
Was this making fun of horror movie cliches back in 1982? Well, looks like everything got wrapped up nicely, other than all the people who got horribly killed, that is. But something tells me we're not quite done yet. Okay, there's another monster movie cliffhanger that never got a sequel. Which is too bad. I think the baby monster was actually more likable than Minya. I gotta hand it to Larry Cohen. He takes something that in the hands of a less capable director would have probably just been a generic monster movie, but through his sharp writing and casting, he makes it entertaining. If you're expecting a bunch of monster action, you may be disappointed since it doesn't have a ton of screen time, but its appearances are well spaced out, and the interesting cast keeps the movie from dragging even when the monster's not on screen. Another big asset is that everything's presented with a wry sense of humor. This movie knows how ridiculous it is and has fun with it, but it never comes off like it's constantly winking at the audience. It's a subtle send-up of old monster flicks, one you can tell was made out of love for the genre rather than disdain. So if you're a fan of old-school monster flicks who also doesn't mind a little gore and nudity, give this one a look. Well, that's all for now. Until next time.